Is dating one of your biggest fears? You think about it, going on that date, trying to be flirty, smart, relatable, cute, a little bit sexy. Where do we find that balance here? It is so hard to figure that out. So, this session is going to be all about figuring out how to flirt, how to do it from a therapist perspective. Hi, everybody. My name is Johanna Dinsdale from Multi Therapy. I am a qualifying psychotherapist here in Toronto, Canada. We love to do different themes over a week. So this week is all about love, relationships, and today specifically flirting. It is such a funny and interesting topic. I love that you guys decided to help me pick this one out because you're right. It is such an interesting topic to cover. And first of all, guys, I speak from experience here. I did the whole online dating thing, and it is so stressful sometimes because it is a whole new world, right? Back in the day, in order to meet somebody, you would maybe go out to a bar or a coffee shop. You'd have to meet somebody in real life. And this online dating thing opens a new world up where you can meet so many people. And sometimes that can be intimidating. So let's get started. Let's check in on the chat. Hi, Vicus. Welcome. Is this one of your favorite topics? I love that. Yes, flirting is so funny, and I'm a little bit shy talking about it, so please give me some grace here when I discuss it. Yes, Matt, it can be so stressful, can't it? So true. But the main thing I want to cover too, guys, is that flirting, it's not, what do you call it? It's not doing something perfect, right? We try to do and recreate things that we see online or in media. But let's be honest, flirting is very customizable to who you are as a person. Flirting is about hyping the other person up, making them feel beautiful, smart, intelligent, whatever they're into. And being playful, right? And that's the main thing, right? It's a playful form of communication, and that's the way we gotta look at things. Hi, Sleepy Will. You say your cycle of online dating is matching tons of dates, finding someone for a year, fizzles out, and repeat. Yes, absolutely. There is a very common situation of going on these dates and feeling the dating burnout. We've discussed dating burnout before too, where it just gets overwhelming, right? It feels like, why am I still doing this? Is it ever going to go anywhere? And we'll talk about that too. Vicus, you started the talk with a flirty statement. Are you online dating right now, Vicus? What's your experience there? And this is fun too, guys. If you want to share about your dating experience, I'd love to hear it in the comment or leave a comment about it. And also tell me your best flirty pickup line. I personally don't fall for the pickup lines myself. I don't think they work a lot of the time, but there are some pretty funny ones out there. Hi, MW Music. Online dating. 1 week of writing, then ghosting in 98% of cases. I feel you there, MW Music. There's nothing quite like feeling a connection with somebody and then all of a sudden they disappear off the face of the earth, right? But the thing I also want to drive home when it comes to that is that your worth is not connected to the way people treat you. All right. If these people are ghosting you and you're starting to feel worthless, just take a minute and realize that this person is actually in a kind of terrible way doing you a favor because there clearly wasn't a connection, or for whatever reason, there's something going on their side. And they're basically giving you the signal, this isn't working out. Is it a bad way to do it, ghosting somebody? I personally think there's better ways to do this as opposed to ghosting, right? It doesn't cost anything to send somebody a little message saying, hey, unfortunately, I I'm not feeling it, but I wish you all the best, right? And I think a lot of people avoid this because a lot of people avoid confrontation, right? They don't want to have that conversation. They feel awkward about doing it. So in their mind, it's a lot easier to just poof, disappear. And it's become such a trope, right? Like it's almost that's the new normal, which is unfortunate, right? Because it doesn't feel good at all. Hi, David. Good morning. How are you guys feeling? Catch me up. What did I do with my hair? My hair is looking like the 70s. I I burnt it again with my hair straightener, guys. If you remember a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, 3 months ago, wow, time is flying. I burnt my hair really bad, and there was like a big tuft of hair coming out of my head. And I did it again, so I'm not straightening it. I'm just leaving it wild. So enjoy the 70s look today. MW Music, you enjoy listening to my live stream while you do housework. Oh, that's great. I love that. I have similar YouTube people that I like to listen to while I'm just walking around. You know, they just kind of yap in the background. I love that that's now, I get to give that to somebody else. So I appreciate you tuning in. Sleepy Will says, you always tell someone that if you feel it's not working out, and it's led to some friendships, actually. That's wonderful. That's the way it should be, Sleepy Will. I'm not the ethics police. As a therapist, if you are terrified of confrontation and you ghosted somebody at some point, it doesn't mean you're a bad person, right? I would just encourage you to explore your values if that's something that you feel good about or bad about, and then you can adjust from there, right? If you don't mind ghosting people, again, you might have hurt that person, but if you really don't mind that, I mean, that's your choice. Vicus, whatever you've done with your hair is simply amazing. A new, different look. Oh, I'm glad you appreciate that, Vicus. This is the way my hair typically looks on its own. I did not do anything to it. I'm good, David. I'm a little bit sick. I got my fisherman friends here. Have you guys ever had these? They taste pretty bad, but they do a really good job of like soothing your throat. Okay, so let's get into it. If you're the kind of person who freezes up in the moment you see someone you find attractive, convinced that you need to find the perfect line, or do a little hair flip, or kind of pose a little bit trying to get their attention, right? But you also have this fear of kind of maybe saying something stupid, or worse, being rejected, right? And that shuts down your ability to be yourself. I have seen it so many times online, guys, where there's these really interesting, might I say, terrible dating advice coaches. And it's become a little bit of a problem on the internet where there's so many dating coaches just passing out advice and they don't have any actual certifications or had done a lot of psychological research, right? They're just kind of basing it off of whatever, their experience, right? So I kind of encourage you to also be cautious about where you're getting these tips and tricks from. You know, there's some good things out there, but you can always experiment, right? But just, you know, take those advice with a grain of salt, even with me, right? You got to be cautious, do your research. Obviously, I have my certs. I did a certification recently in the Gottman method, which is couples therapy and how to better communicate. And if you think about this, guys, flirting is just a form of playful communication, right? And I like to think of it as a little bit of a game, right? You're trying to be playful. So remembering that when it comes to crafting your version of flirting. V8 says, is holding hands with someone else considered cheating? That's a great question, V8. I think you have to dive down into why and how it made you feel, I suppose. And that, are you the person who is holding hands? First of all, there's different cultures, right? So in some cultures, it's totally fine to hold hands with somebody. But then in other cultures, that might be seen as a really big deal. Not sure where you're from, V8, but if you held hands with somebody and you felt it was very flirty, then perhaps, yeah, it might have been kind of a little bit of emotional connection with that person that made you feel uncomfortable, right? Especially if you're in a relationship with someone else. Yeah, it's always important to contextualize these things, right? If you were holding hands in a friendly manner, then of course not. That's just holding hands with somebody. But if you felt like it was more than that, then you might have to think, hey, this is a situation where I might have slightly crossed a line. I'm not going to do that again. Oh, you're America. Very nice. What do I think of Andrew Tate? I don't know much about him, to be quite honest. I don't think I have enough information on him to make a comment. But yeah, I hear he's quite a controversial character. Matt, yikes, yeah. Vicus says, I think ghosting is not a right thing to do. People can still talk to each other as friends if they're not willing to be in a romantic relationship. Yeah, absolutely. That's so true, Vicus. You know, it doesn't cost anything to just tell somebody, and of course they might react in a negative way. And I think that's why a lot of people don't bother doing that, especially as a woman. I find that I've done that on dating apps sometimes. It's just like, hey, I'm just moving on. Unfortunately, we're not clicking. And there's often like a lot of pushback, right? And that can be frustrating because you're kind of setting that boundary of like, hey, I wish you all the best. And then they're still pushing for something. But again, that's kind of the helpful thing about the internet is that you have that virtual space where, yeah, you can complain about it, but what you gonna do? Sleepy Will is just gonna listen for now. Of course. Yes, no need to chit chat if you don't want to. Hi, user, welcome. No worries. If you're in a public space, of course, feel free to watch it at home. I hope you have safe travels then, wherever you are. And David, no, I don't need a nap. I'm just a little bit sick, that's all. I'll be okay. So yeah, let's talk about specifically being authentic when it comes to finding your flirtatious ways, right? We're trying to give gentle compliments, be playful. And for me personally, it's like you find your style, right? Like I really enjoy humor. So humor is a lot of incorporated into my flirting. And sometimes we can use love languages to understand our partners too. You can even ask them, hey, what is your love language? And what love language is, there's 5 different ones. Let's see if I can name them off the top of my head. There's physical touch, quality time. Come on. I know this. Acts of service, gift giving, and ooh, what's the last one? Oh gosh. Okay, I'm gonna have to look it up. But basically, guys, 5 love languages. If you know about your partner's love language, then you can use specific flirtations that have to do with these ones. Words of affirmation. That's the one I forgot. So words of affirmation would be like praise. You find that your partner really likes when you give them compliments like, hey, your hair looks great today. I think you're really smart. You're so beautiful. Those are words of affirmation. So that can be incorporated into your flirty style. Another one being acts of service. So that's doing little helpful things for that person. So for example, if they're feeling stressed out, giving them, helping them out cleaning up or like helping them with their project that they're working on. That's their love language. Some people enjoy receiving gifts, you know, they like a little flower every now and then, or a chocolate, or more. I don't know. People are different, right? And then with quality time would be giving them undivided attention. So that's, you know, taking them on a date and looking into each other's eyes and just spending that time together. That's really quality time. And then finally, physical touch, of course, a little pat on the butt every now and then, or a little massages, what have you, can be very important. We talked about, what do you call it, hand holding and whatnot too. So many different kinds of flirting, guys. So you can get a little creative, and there's no harm in asking your partner, if you have one, what specifically do you like? Especially if you're in a long-term relationship, guys, it's okay to reassess what's working and what's not. That can be really healthy for your relationship, actually, is bringing that spice back into your relationship. Because sometimes we forget. It's like, okay, we've already won our prize. We have this person here. So sometimes we get a little bit lax with the flirting. You can dive right back into that, guys, if this is a long-term partner that you're having too. Let's catch up with the chat here. Vicka says, most people get emotionally, mentally hurt. That's why one shouldn't do ghosting, arguments, shouting. Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, people make mistakes and do these things, but it's about learning from that experience, why you feel that happened in the first place, and how to do it differently next time, breaking those cycles that you get stuck in. Thanks, Matt. I know, sometimes I forget that it zooms in randomly. I gotta figure out how to turn that off. David is joking around about my height. And V8 says, my channel is great. Why only so few in the chat? Oh, you never know with these things. Sometimes we get a lot of people in the chat and sometimes not so many. Just how it is. Vicus, sometimes flirting is healthy, but if you don't cross the limits. If you are serious about your relationship, then you should try to build up that relationship in a constructive manner. That's a really good point, Vicus, right? You want to keep building it. You don't want to let it stagnate at all. It's a really good point. Matt agrees. And MW Music. Do bad boys really have better chances in dating? I love that question. That is a great question. So I would say, again, from my experience from listening to other people too, that people tend to have a specific type that they're attracted to, right? For whatever reasons. It can come from familiarity. For example, you have been in previous relationships with a bad boy, so you just find bad boys attractive because that's what you know. Maybe you grow up watching your, you know, older siblings like dating bad boys, so you're like, okay, that's the kind of person that I should be dating. Or like, I don't know. For example, you see all the bad boys on TV and you're like, oh, I really like that. So do all people find bad boys attractive? Absolutely not. But I do find it is certainly some people are attracted to the bad boys, for sure. Leave it in the comments below if you're attracted to the bad boys. And also like this video, guys, if you like it. I think that kind of helps get the video out there too, so I would appreciate that. Let's see. V8, you sent your chat friend a 3D printer for Christmas. Wow. That's a really nice gift. That's an expensive gift. Vicus, don't zoom out. Your eyes are looking nice. Thanks, Vicus. No, it's a little too close for comfort. I actually made a short about why I do my short, like the little reels, so close to my face. Could anyone guess why? Leave it in the chats if you think you know why. It's not because I have nice eyes. Vicus, you think bad boys are the ones who do least efforts, in fact, zero efforts, because they are already cool in teenagers' life. Yeah, there's certainly a lot of different types of bad boys out there. I think, some people just look like a bad boy, but then they're actually a good boy at heart. Some are legitimately bad boys, and you got to be cautious around those guys for sure. So let's kind of deconstruct here the flirting, right? Why is it so scary sometimes? And it's because of the rejection factor, I think, for a lot of people, right? You're worried that they might hate that, so you freeze up, right? And of course, we do want to assess the situation to see if they are open for flirting, right? And how do we do that? So first of all, be in the context of a date, right? Or you're at a bar, and these places are kind of socially acceptable to try to get a little bit flirty, right? If we're at work with a coworker, that might not be the appropriate place to do it, right? Because of a lot of reasons. So again, appropriate places, say you're meeting somebody out on the town for a date, yes, socially acceptable, right? And then we don't want to over strategize on the flirtiness, right? Often I see on these online dating things, people are really over strategizing a lot when it comes to the flirt. They're saying, okay, first do this, then this, then this. If she says this, then do this. And it's okay to plan out a little bit, but remember the point of a date, right? Is, well, I guess there's two reasons, right? You might be trying to have some spicy time, or you might be trying to look for a relationship. So if you're looking for a relationship, the real goal of that date is trying to understand if you are both compatible, right? And in order to truly understand if you're compatible with this person is to be your authentic self, is to be, to show them your true self, because if you don't, you're not actually understanding whether you guys are compatible or not. So that's why, sometimes there are nerves. It's okay to be nervous, and it's okay to acknowledge that you're nervous. Sometimes you can even tell them, like, wow, I feel really nervous because, you're so beautiful and I've really enjoyed our talk. So apologies for being a little shy today. That can be opening up the floors of saying, oh, I'm a bit shy too, but I'm sure we can get through this together. Now you're on the same team, right? It's okay to really be emotional because you want an emotional connection. So by sharing that you feel a little bit shy, they might comfort you, reassure you. That's a great start, right? And again, you're sneaking in a little bit of a compliment there too, of saying, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. And so I'm a bit flustered. Okay, checking in with the chat here. Do-do-do. MW Music, you made yourself a whole document with a flirting guide for Tinder. Oh my gosh, I would love to see that, MW. I'm curious, what's in it? What kind of stuff works for you? And that's good. I mean, it sounds like you're kind of analyzing it. You're trying to understand what works for you, and that's great. But again, it's a balance, right? You're trying to understand fully, and it's okay to self-reflect, see what works, what doesn't, right? It sounds like your guide is helping you understand what has worked, what your style is, but then it's taking that next step to feel comfortable just going for it, right? Just being able to enjoy the experience again, as opposed to overthinking it, right? We want to cut that overthinking out when it comes to these dates. Okay. And guess what? When somebody really likes you, you like them even more when they share a genuine piece of yourself, right? It's kind of this, what do you call it? I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Yeah. The principle of basically being authentic, right? If you're able to share that small, low stakes truth, it makes the other person comfortable and want to share one back. So it builds that communication immediately, right? And I hear you, MW Music, especially virtually. It can be really hard to understand context, right? You're talking with somebody that you don't know. So it's absolutely possible you might say something that they don't appreciate or they don't find funny because you're trying to suss it out together, like where the limits are, where the boundaries are, right? And it's okay to ask them too. If you're ready to take that step online and like start to get a little bit flirty, just like testing the waters a little bit. You don't want to dive 2 feet in. For the most part, I don't find a lot of women enjoy when it's very like immediate. Sometimes they do. Again, everybody's a little bit different. So if that's your authentic way of doing things, you could give it a shot. It might work to like send really, really flirtatious things right away, and you'll find somebody that connects with that too. But again, if it's not working, then you can always re-strategize and try to figure out a different way to be authentic. MW Music, you have a guideline for when to ask questions. For example, when to ask for a date. Yeah, that's a good point. When to ask for a date is always interesting, right? Because you don't want to ask too soon, but then you don't want to wait too long and they lose interest. That's a tricky one. That is. From my experience, it sounds like usually like between a day to 3 days, that seems to be the most common time to ask for a date, right? So you're talking a little bit, and then asking them quite soon. I guess 3 days seems to be the norm that I've heard from various sources. Just enough to get to know somebody well. What's your favorite place to take someone on a first date? Leave that in the comments. I would love to hear. My go-to was typically doing some kind of walk. It's like coffee and a walk. That was my favorite. I think it's a good way to just not be I don't like sitting there staring at somebody in case it's awkward. So if you're walking around, you're able to, if you're just silent for a bit, it's okay because you're just looking at nature. I never do a movie on the first date, guys, because you don't get to know the person. That's my advice there, unless you're going to do something before or after. Okay, so what we're talking about, encountering someone you're interested in. Again, it's just figuring out specifically, oh, Matt, you like bowling? Nice. I like bowling too. That's a great one. Again, having that activity so you're not just kind of staring at each other, and it gives you a topic to talk about too. Matt, was that a mistake to go bowling? What? Okay, I need more context here. And also, guys, if you find that you are oversharing, I like to say there can be a nice balance in conversation, right? Specifically, if you want to understand your partner a bit more, like you're on a first date, make sure that you're really listening to what they're saying. So try to have the conversation about 50-50, right? Listening to what they're saying and asking questions about them. When you're asking questions, it makes you seem interested in what they have to say, right? And there's a lot of little psychological components that you can use, which is called gentle mirroring. So for example, if they're leaning in, you can do the same. If they have like their hands on the table, you can do the same. Again, this is just like a slight psychological, basically a theory That's been tested and confirmed that mirroring is just, it makes you feel more connected on kind of that subconscious level. And research kind of confirms that the most attractive trait that you can give to another person is to make the other person feel fascinated or fascinating. So you are fascinated with that person. And you can think about a lot of examples in this in movies, right? It's always when that other person is like leaning in and smiling and say, hey, you're really interesting. That's kind of where that attraction builds, right? You want to feel, oh, this person's really interested in me. They're really kind of hyping me up here through the questions. Wow, that's amazing. Like even that can be flirting, of just kind of hyping them up by saying, that's amazing. I want to hear more about that. You're building trust through this genuine focus, right? And that is authentic. If you're genuinely curious about this person and want to learn more, it increases the rapport. Oh, Matt, you made the mistake of bringing someone to the movies? Yeah, like when I was a teenager, that was kind of the common thing to go to, was the movies. Just not for the first date, I'd say, right? Because you want to get to know whether you have that spark. MW Music. We have a beautiful old town with half-timbered houses and rivers, a great place for a walk and a date. Oh, that sounds really nice. Yeah. If you have a good main street, I like the small towns with the main streets where you can just walk up and down, get to know the people around. MW Music. You don't talk about your anxiety or depression anymore because they'll quickly disappear. Yeah, MW Music, you're trying to keep a positive mindset. Oh, you're saying during your date. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you don't want to hide your authentic self, but at the same time, it's okay to leave those topics for a later time, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be spoken about during the first few dates, for sure. Exactly. Then you don't talk at the movies. Yes, for sure. Okay, so we talked a little bit about, the different ways of flirting, being your authentic self, trying to figure out your humor too. Eye contact. It was really funny. I was doing a lot of research about how much eye contact to give somebody, because eye contact is so funny, because you can give too much eye contact where it's like, why is this person staring at me? Versus too little where they're like, oh, they're not paying attention. And I could not find a specific number, but I feel like, again, this is just me and you can do your own research on this, but I heard that around like 70 to 30%. So it's like you look at them, but then you also look down and look around for about 30% of the time. And it was funny because it's different depending on where you are. That number can increase and decrease depending on the cultural setting, right? So yeah, again, feeling it out, doing these little tests. And all the failed tests, guys, all the failed dates that you've gone on, they're lessons, okay? There's no such thing really as a failed date. It is a learning experience of what you like and what you don't like and what you can do differently the next time. So don't be too hard on yourself if you've had a terrible date and you're really kicking yourself for saying something. It's like, okay, I'm never going to do that again. So time to move forward. And yeah, that's a beautiful thing too about dating. Since the dating pool is so big these days, guys, like even if you do have a terrible date, it's okay, because hopefully you never see that person again. And if you do, you can just, give them a little nod and move forward, right? It's not the end of the world. It might feel like the end of the world to say the wrong pickup line or try to flirt and it didn't quite work out, but that's how you learn. You're not gonna hone your flirting skills until you give it a little bit of a try, right? When you're ready. It's just, again, we're all about these small actionable steps towards our goals. And if your goal is to meet somebody and have a relationship and you're feeling burnt out and sick and tired of it, it's okay. You can acknowledge that you're feeling exhausted by the process. But also, if one of your life goals is to have a partner or get married, then don't give up, right? Don't throw in the towel just because it's been difficult for you. If this is something that's really important to you, it's okay to take a little bit of a break and then jump back into things when you're feeling ready. Yeah. Again, like, I like to say, everybody has a different opinion on this, but I say that compatibility is like, everybody has a certain number of compatibility based on a lot of different things, whether it be, level of attraction to somebody, level of, humor, intelligence, interest, blah, 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 all these different factors. And it kind of all adds up to a percentage of compatibility with somebody. So that's the good news. If you look at it this way, it's not that stressful. I'm going to have to find my soulmate through all of these people, right? It's reframing it to say, let's find somebody super highly compatible and go from there. And this is just my tip and trick. If you still believe in soulmates, that's completely fine. I'm not trying to change your mind on anything, but it's just a way to take that pressure off of like, I need to find one person in a haystack of a billion straws, right? Several billion straws. Let's check here. V8. Is exchanging photos considered cheating? Again, it's kind of depends on the context. V8. It's hard to say without any context, but if they feel that they were doing, I don't know, right? Like it depends. Sending a photo to a coworker of you drinking coffee because it's their favorite coffee, I would not consider that cheating. But if you were to, I don't know, to send another kind of picture, that might be an issue. It's all about the intent of sending the photo, I suppose. MW Music. Why don't women like to talk on the phone when getting to know someone? I find it much more personable. That's a great question, MW Music. Are you saying that you give out your number pretty quickly on the dating apps? And you want them to call you? Hi, Mada. Welcome. How are you doing? We're talking about flirting. What's your experience with flirting? Feel free to share it. Yeah, I think talking on the phone can be a little intimidating if it's too soon. If they feel like they don't know you very well, they don't want to feel like they're calling a stranger. So I could understand their reservations about that, or giving out their number to somebody that they don't know very well yet. So I think it just depends on that too, is the quickness and how comfortable they feel with you. Oh, thank you, Mada. That's very nice. I appreciate that. So, okay, guys, do you have any questions specifically about flirting? Feel free to ask them. I like to say there's, again, like, sorry, I'm kind of rambling right now, but it's okay if you feel a bit anxious about flirting. It is a very intimate thing. So, of course, it's going to feel a little bit anxious, and you can be an avoidant flirter too, right? Trying to act too cool or overly detached and using sarcasm as a shield, right? That's not necessarily flirting, right? It's putting on a persona. And that's where we want to make the differential of, we're not trying to act a certain way. We're not overperforming, like really trying to go super deep into, the whole flirtation thing. It's all about balance, guys. Balance, balance, balance. Do I need sleep? Maybe. Maybe alternate coconut. Cool name, by the way. I like that. Hello. Oh, I'm getting a lot of new people on here. Amazing. How to win a woman's heart. How to do it, guys. I think it all depends on specifics, right? Depends on what kind of woman's heart you are trying to win. So firstly, I think it's good to understand what you are looking for. And again, it depends on, are you looking for kind of a shallower relationship? Are you looking for a deeper relationship? What are the main traits that you are looking for in somebody? And again, it's just like a loose outline of what you're looking for. For example, if you really want to date somebody smart, okay? That's like your main thing. It's like, I don't really mind what they look like or if they're too funny. I just want them to be smart because that's something that I find really attractive. Okay, so that's like your main trait that you're looking for. It's okay to have wants and needs in a relationship, guys. That's the other thing. You know, some people kind of shame you. Oh, you're only looking for really attractive people. If that's what you want, that's okay. All right, you don't have to feel ashamed for looking for something that you like. Sleeping on live stream is fun. Oh my gosh, now I've completely lost my train of thought. Thanks, alternative coconut. That would be interesting. I don't think I could sleep on live stream. That would be a little too strange for me. Be aware and care. Hello. Hello again. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Yeah. So again, remaining cool and calm, knowing what you're looking for, and then also remembering that when you go into that date, guys, you're not trying to sell yourself. You're not trying to sell the version of yourself. You're trying to be your authentic self to see if it's a good match. So the more that you can be yourself and overcome those nerves and just let your true self shine through, that's how you're going to make that real connection. Being playful and flirty in your version. So for example, for me, it's like, again, a lot of humor. I would say I kind of tap into all the different love languages because it's fun to like kind of change it up, right? Like do something very thoughtful, like, oh, I'm going to buy them some flowers before I get there, a little bit of gift giving. I'm going to, you know, just like tap them on the shoulder a little bit, just making like a little bit of physical touch during the date, not too much, to, yeah, just see if they're okay with that. And if not, you can back off. Or if they're leaning into it, you could try, you know, like a little handhold or something. Again, it can be so anxiety inducing, right? When you're not sure that like first step towards, you know, a handhold can be so your heart races and everything. But remembering that's a good part of dating too, right? It's like that excitement, that dopamine hit of, oh, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to put myself out there. So exciting and scary at the same time, because what if I get rejected, right? By building up that self-worth in yourself, saying, even if I get rejected by this person, I know I'm still a good person. I am still worthy. I am good enough. That's going to make the difference, right? Because then you'll feel brave enough to try these things in the date, right? Where you are connecting with this person and you're not really freaking out internally the whole time. Lysoth, I am a qualifying psychotherapist in Toronto, Canada. Thank you for asking. Oh, Panda Fire agrees with V8. Let's see. Why do women prefer texting and audio? Oh, texting over audio or video chat. Isn't it better to see facial expressions? Yeah, V8 is so true. Sometimes, again, it's about comfortability. I think a lot of the time women want to feel comfortable, like they know you before taking that step of audio or video chat. It's just, yeah, they need to build that rapport first when it comes to text and then go from there. Some people just hate phone calls in general. I find that pretty common. So you can always ask your partner too, just like in a nice, gentle, curious way. Oh, you don't like phone calls? Tell me why. I'm curious. That fascination technique comes in there, right, guys? We talked about that. Trying to build up fascination in that person, making them feel like they're fascinating. Just catching up on the chats. Oprah, you got landed in this live stream. Is this very topical for you, Oprah? Text messages. No, I am not. All right. So we covered that. We covered specifics around texting. And yeah, that's a good point. We said why women, they might feel a bit uncomfortable at first. They want to build up comfortability and safety with you, right? And I talked about this before too, about familiarity, right? You're trying to build up that feeling of familiarity with that person as well. You want to feel like you fit in with their life. So if you ask things about their life, you can kind of start integrating yourself into that too a little bit. So for example, oh, what kind of sports are you into? You love soccer? Oh my gosh, I love watching soccer. I don't play it myself, but yeah, like I love to watch it on the TVs, or yeah, if you ever need a cheerleader on the side of your games, I could be there for you, right? It's like a little fun, a little flirty. It's not like, invite me to your next soccer game, but it's like, if you ever need a cheerleader, I could definitely be there for you. Yeah, it's just signaling to their system that like they're in a safe harbor. You can be, yeah, a solid rock for them, right? You can even ask them too. Questions are so important, guys, when it comes to dates, right? It's like, what are you looking for in a relationship? It's a great question to ask on a first date. So what are you looking for? They might be looking for something casual, something long-term, like the one night stand, and then you know where you stand too and can take it from there. Identifying the stakes can be really helpful because that's gonna make sure that you're all on the same page and you don't feel kind of let down if they're not looking for what you're looking for. Yeah. And again, try not to have that like catastrophic understanding that if you fail at flirting, it's going to be the end of the world, right? That's always important because we put such high stake pressure on these relationships that it can feel like if I make one wrong move, I'm going to lose this person forever. And guess what, guys? If that's the case, then that's not a relationship you'll want to be in, right? You want to be in a relationship where you can screw up and that person can laugh it off, or, you want to be with somebody who can accept you for who you are. So if you're a little bit dorky and you make some like awkward, flirty things and they absolutely hate that, is that a person you want to be in a relationship with if that's your true, authentic self? Which is what I'm trying to say. V8, that sounds good. You're gonna join the next live chat. I'm not sure what the topic's gonna be yet. It's gonna be something to do with relationships. So if you guys have any specific topics you'd like to talk about, feel free to ask. Let me know in the comments down below what you want the next live chat to be when it comes to the topic of relationships. My day's going good, Ash. Very good. Eric, beautiful nails. Thank you. They're just the regular ones. I don't have anything going on there. Ash, you have a human that's your best friend. Is your partner very nice? Yeah, there's nothing like a good old flirt with your spouse or your life partner. Yeah, just igniting that flame again with flirting can be so much fun. Because remember back in the day, if you're in a long-term relationship and you feel like that fire has fizzled a little bit, just think back to the beginning of your relationship. What really attracted you to them? What worked back then? And then, yeah, just being honest. If you feel like that has fizzled out a bit, you can tell your partner, I would love if you flirted with me a bit more. I would love to just get things a little bit more spicy again. Let's figure out how to do that. And it's all about the communication, right? If you are giving them the blueprint to your needs, very helpful, guys, especially if you are in a new relationship, telling your partner what you enjoy, very helpful. Saying, oh my gosh, I love it when you hold my hand. That is like my favorite thing. If we're walking, even if we're sitting on the couch, whenever you grab my hand, oh my gosh, my heart starts to race, right? It's okay to just tell that person exactly what you like. And, if hopefully they're receptive, that's a sign of a good relationship, right? When they hear that, it might take them a few reminders, but yeah, your needs are important too. It's not all about just giving your partner what they need. It should be balanced. Mr. Jimmy played. Welcome. Boulevard Dreams. I don't think it. That's a good point. Maybe not. We'll never know. Ash Curious. Yes, they expect you for who you are. And even though we don't always agree on everything, we always pick each other up every day. I love that, Ash Curious. That's wonderful. I love to hear about relationships. Again, no relationship is perfect, right? Often there's so much pressure that we see on social media of these perfect relationships. But guys, all relationships take work, take understanding. There's going to be bumps along the way. But I think the biggest part of having a healthy relationship is trust too. If your trust has been broken in a relationship, it's okay to address that. And again, trying to figure out what to do to fix that. It can't just be this resentment boiling in the background. You got to start to take steps towards the right direction in order to heal that. Oh, that's okay, Ash Curious. I got what you were saying. No worries. All right. So, if you guys are on a date and you suddenly have a wave of self-criticism or doubt in the middle of the interaction, for example, you're in the middle of the day and you're starting to say, I should have not said that. I should have said that differently, right? You are assuming that the negative judgment you feel is actually a projection of their current mood. So for example, it might be, oh my gosh, they look tired, they look bored, what is wrong with me? Like you can really get stuck in that headset, right? Instead, try to look at kind of the more factual things, right? You don't have to get stuck in that self-blame cycle in the middle of the date, right? Almost like collecting data during the date, and then afterwards you can kind of analyze that. But if you get stuck in that cycle where you start to really feel anxious, it's okay to say like, oh, I'm just going to run to the bathroom real quick, take a break, ground yourself, right? You don't want to be in a really, really high anxious situation because you won't be able to think clearly. That's a fact. If your heart is really, really racing, sometimes it can be hard to make those rash decisions and be on your best A game when it comes to the conversations. Diash. Should be stoic or expressive, ma'am. Oh, thank you, DS. I appreciate that. Just listening. Oh, I appreciate it. That's really sweet. That is a very great question, DS. I would say, again, be your authentic self. If your authentic self is very stoic all the time, then that's okay. It's okay to be stoic if that's just genuinely how you are. You want to put how you are out there, be your authentic self, because that person's going to get to know you. But if you are very expressive, then it's also good to put that out there too. I have met some very stoic people who are very good at sharing their emotions at the same time, right? You can be very stoic, put together, but then if someone hurts your feelings, that person can be very stoically telling you, that really hurt my feelings, right? The point is to have open communication and being assertive, right? Assertive is about setting boundaries that are balanced with others. Let's catch up. Oh my gosh, so many people in the chat all of a sudden. Say Sauve, what kind of therapist am I? So my specialties are anxiety and relationships. And original chemist. Why are most women therapists? Oh, that's a great question. There are a lot of women therapists. I don't know. Maybe we are, in our society, we are taught to understand our emotions a bit more. I think there is a cultural component to why there's so many female therapists. And that's a good question too. So for example, relationships, just because a relationship ends doesn't necessarily mean that you're bad at relationships, right? It means that for whatever reason, that relationship did not work out because the values weren't aligned, the trust wasn't there, they couldn't make it work, right? That doesn't make you a bad person if you are not able to make a relationship work out. It means that there was a compromise that couldn't be reached, and that's okay. You don't have to stay in a relationship just because you're in a relationship, right? If you both are miserable or you're miserable, it's all right to make those changes. And yeah, follow your heart, guys. Make sure you weigh out everything. Hi, Max Ashton. How are you doing? Hi, Pesty. Oh my gosh, so many comments. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. What if your therapist is a man hater? Ooh, that's a great question. Sounds like you need a new therapist if that's the case. DS, she is my yin and I'm her yang. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. That's wonderful when you find somebody who's such a great match that you really find that they're your other half, as they call it, right? I love all the different cultural ways that people say you're in a beautiful relationship. Ash Curious, you have a friend that you're trying to explain this to. She is a nice person, but she will put her heart on the line and understand, but she doesn't communicate well and then doesn't know what the relationship is. Yeah, definitely. That can be hard, right? When you don't express yourself very well, you need to work on your communication style. And especially labeling the relationship too, that's a big scary step to take, as actually saying, hey, are we in a relationship? Are we going steady, as they say, or official? That's a big scary one. And that kind of ties into flirting a lot too, right? That is the ultimate flirt of locking them down. And it's scary because of the fear of rejection, right? We have put our heart on the line. We're starting this relationship and we want to lock it down, right? Putting yourself out there is scary, but the payoff can be great too. If you really love this person and you want to be in a relationship, then it might be worth giving it a shot, right? Definitely, definitely. I hope Ash, your friend, is able to, yeah, just self reflect a little bit and build up that communication style. If you want, you can look up assertive communication. There's a lot of great free resources about that and how to learn how to do that. Or, of course, you could talk to a professional. If you're in Canada, you guys can book a session with me, Jo Dinsdale, at multitherapy.co. We do relationship stuff, anxiety stuff, all sorts of fun stuff on this channel. I like to share tips and tricks that I use in therapy. And specifically, guys, remembering that flirting is just a form of playful communication. It's about making that other person feel fascinating and that you're really interested in them. So yeah, I hope that was helpful, guys. Again, it's a playful thing. It's a complex thing. So don't fear if you get it wrong sometimes. Flirting is not always going to work every time. But if somebody doesn't love your flirt, doesn't mean you're a bad person, doesn't lower your worth, right? You just learn from that experience and you can move forward and be a better person because you've learned from that mistake or that lesson. Yeah, so get out there, guys. Get your flirt on. If you're feeling burnt out about those dating apps, that is quite all right. You can simply take a break and get back when you're used to it or when you're feeling better. But don't give up on your dreams, guys. If you've ever had those bad past dating experiences, you are worthy, you are good enough, and you get out there and find that compatible person that is just right for you, okay? So thank you again for all who tuned in today. My name is Johanna Dinsdale from Multi Therapy. If you could subscribe, I would much appreciate this, guys. We have a great community here. We do live streams every once in a while, every week. We do free hypnosis sessions on here, which is great. There's so many. We have a nice collection now that you can check out. And of course, we share tips and tricks about therapy, all about therapy. You can feel free to leave me comments. I always reply to them. And yeah, thank you everybody who joined in today. You're welcome, Beware, and hello, Lioness. Hope you catch the next one or check out the rest of this video. And take care, guys, for now.